and welcome to the Thursday show. I am back. Sorry I wasn't here last week, but welcome to all of our lovely regular viewers. And you know what? If you are a first-time viewer, hello, welcome. Get a cuppa or something stronger. Sit down, relax, and enjoy the show. This is my favorite time of the week where me, Vlad, and Jay bring together our best comedy pals in order to have a little bit of a chat, see what's going on, and play a few games. And what a week it has been. Very exciting stuff in the news this week. We've had Downing Street's answer to Liam and Noel Gallagher, that being Matt Hancock and Dominic Cummings, going head to head. Cummings says that Hancock should have been fired 15 times, which does seem a little bit much, because surely once you're fired, you're gone. You don't have to go back and repeatedly do it again. Someone has actually called this a nuclear dom, which I thought was one of my favorite things. And Dominic Cummings has done more in one day to oppose government than Keir Starmer has done in 12 months. So there is a lot to go over this week. There's a lot to look forward to. And we have a very special theme. This week, we decided to approach a comedy couple. And what we mean by that are two stand-up comics in one relationship. We don't mean someone off Gogglebox or any of that shit. We mean two comedians that are together, and we have got a lot of fun coming up. But before we get any further with the show, as you can see, actual in-person gigs are back. Look at that, brightonfringefest.co.uk. Go and see some shows if you are part of that, if you're in that part of the world. Not if you're part of it. If you're part of it, go and see shows. But ideally, we want to get as many people seeing those as well. And don't forget, this show is free to watch. It's not free to make. So there's a little bit of a donation there. It's paypal.me/freefrestonline. That can donate to the performers. We really need your support because Vlad's whiskey habit doesn't fund itself. So thank you, everyone that's been commenting. Saw a little comment there from the wonderful Richard Wright. Hello to Liam Greenjacket. Hello to Steve McPaul and everybody else out there. If you want to give us a like, that helps more people see. If you want to give us a share, that helps spread the wealth, spread the love. And talking of spreading the love, it's now time to introduce my co-host. Some people say this man is secretly the Stig. Now, I cannot confirm nor deny these claims. All I can say is he's called Jay Sodagar. Let's introduce him to the show. Is he that way?
Yes.
He's that way.
I'm this way. I'm this way. There you go. Look at that. There you go. We got. I knew he was going to do that. I knew he was going to do that. I knew it. No. Fuck you. Fuck you. Bless you. Bless you. It's nice to have you back, Dave. It's nice to have you back. We missed you last week.
Did you miss me?
I did. But I did an impression of you, and it was commented on. It was probably the best intro I think you've ever done. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I like stepping in your shoes. But yes, this is good. Here we are. This is a comedy couple week. This is it. And I've realised this is a game I play now. I've been married now for 14 years. Now I've been married, and it's a little game I play. And how long have you been married now?
Not married yet, mate. Don't even go into that.
Is it all gone wrong, is it? Oh, never mind.
I tried proposing 3 times and we don't know if we're engaged or not. But we've been dating 5 years.
5 years. 5 years. Do you know how I know that you're not married? Do you know how I know that you're not married? You've got good hair. You've got good hair. Look at mine. 14 years. I've got fucked up hair. All right. You can, even from where you are right now, you can smell the Just for Men just emanating from my head through the screen, even with your internet connection. It's crazy. It really is. This is the only way how you spot married people. Watch Vlad's hair. Watch Vlad's hair when he comes on. You'll just suddenly see, well, wow, that's a married man's hair right there. They shouldn't even call it Just for Men. They should just call it Just for Married Men, because only married men will ever use something that shit at that. But this is it. This is it. I remember the good old days when me and my fiance, me and my missus were before we were married. You know, we used to think about stuff. We used to kind of have discussions about stuff. We used to sit there and talk about, we'll watch a film and then like we'll go upstairs and we'll like, have sex and everything. And we'll be like, we'll just take clothes off and leave it on the floor and stuff. If we ever did that now, my wife would be like, did you put the dishwasher on? That's romance for you. That is romance. Yes, Jay Saunders, 2 divorces and 52 still have more dark hair than Jay. Just for men. I told you, just for men. That's it. But yes, but now it's all kind of like, we've got kids and everything else, so it's all.
Oh, I think he's frozen up there.
What were you up to last week?
I think I don't know if it was me or you that froze there. But I love how this has turned into a radio phone. I didn't tell you. Me and my girlfriend had a kid last week. We had my niece for 2 days, and it was a nightmare, to be honest. Thing is with kids, look, fair play to you, but I don't need anything that's gonna keep me awake at night, financially cripple me, and embarrass me in public, because I do stand-up comedy for a living. So let's see how that goes. But while we are talking about that, please let us know how many divorces you've had. Jay has set the bar incredibly high. Jay Saunders, not Sodagar. He's got 2. Can anyone beat that? I genuinely would want to know this throughout the duration of the show. But let's bring in our friend and compadre, a man who was recently renamed in a public vote. And now we refer to him as Vladimir McVladface. It's Vladimir McTavish.
Yes. Yeah, here we are. Yes, that's the hair of a once divorced, once married man. Well, twice married, once divorced. It'd be quite difficult to, working on the second divorce as we speak. No, happily married to the second time round. There you go. It's nice to see you back, Dave. Nice to see. I'll tell you one thing I find good and shows we'll get to the end of this tunnel that is COVID, is the fact that we're getting normal news again. There was a news story on the BBC Scotland News last week about a serial sex offender. We've not had them for a while because obviously COVID has taken the headlines. This guy was up in court and he was charged with a catalogue of sexual offences against children. Who would get that catalogue?
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
An irresponsible parent will say, oh, here, I tell you what our boy needs. He needs a catalogue of sexual offences. And the thing is, we're paying that off once a month.
Why every time it's either paedophilia, right? We're not even 8 minutes in. We haven't even broken.
Listen, it was the BBC News that used the phrase "a catalogue of sexual offences." It's not like it said the name of the actual catalogue. It wasn't Jay's catalogue or the Freeman's catalogue of child sexual abuse. And then it said, before it went to the court report, it said, we will advise viewers the following footage contains flashing images. And I thought, he's a rampant serial paedophile. I don't care what other images there are. Anyway, on more serious news. There has been a scandal.
Sorry, more serious news than a serious news than a paedophile. Right, cool. Yeah, good.
And this has come to light over the last week due to a documentary about women who were unmarried mothers in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s who were forced to put their babies up for adoption. And this has been a big scandal. It's been running for years. And the government has now recognised it was an issue, but have refused to issue an apology, which should really come as no surprise, because Boris Johnson has refused to apologise to all the unmarried mothers of whose children he's the father. as you were alluding to, Dave, it is the big showdown, the big unification fight coming up to have the undisputed world champion liar. In the blue corner, we have Dominic Cummings. In the other blue corner, we have Boris Johnson. Pretty difficult to tell who is telling the truth. Although it has to be said, given the evidence he gave to that Commons Committee that Johnson said the whole thing was a scare story in February, that he refused to do anything about it all the way through March, that he dithered about making any kind of measures, that he didn't think a lockdown would work, that he wanted to go for herd immunity. Personally, I believe Dominic Cummings, not because I trust him, no, because I trust my own fucking memory. I remember all that happening 15 months ago. And this is the thing, I think Johnson's just hoping that the rest of the country has as short an attention span as he does and can't remember February to March 2020 when he did all that shit. And the thing is, he doesn't learn from his mistakes, because, you know, we've now got the problems that have been coming up in various parts of the UK down to what they're calling the Indian strain of the virus, or some people have been calling that. Other people have been referring to it by the title she likes to use herself, which is Home Secretary. And various local authorities you've been advised not to go to or leave. The latest ones are Bradford, Burnley, Bolton, Blackburn, Leicester, North Tyneside, fairly others. I mean, places it's quite easy to persuade people not to go to. It's much more difficult to persuade people not to leave these places. And I think if you're in any doubt about where you should and shouldn't go, if you just listen to that list, pretty much anywhere beginning with B, just don't go there. If it begins with B, miss it out. So I would advise people not to go to Basildon, Basingstoke, Billericay, Barking, Barnsley, or Barrow-in-Furness. They don't have higher incidences of the virus. I've just been to all those places, and I'd advise people not to go there.
Thank you so much.
But I want to finish on the shameless plug. Sorry. Do go to Brighton. Yes. That's what I was going to say. It should be, but go to Brighton. Yes, particularly the weekend of the 25th, 26th, and 27th of June, because you can see my solo show at the Brighton Fringe. 60 last minutes to save the world. It won't save the world. It might save your weekend. Who knows? That's it. But yeah, have a safe weekend and don't go to anywhere beginning with B apart from Brighton.
Yeah, please do go to Brighton. Love it, Vlad. What I think right. COVID, what it's doing is it's working through the alphabet. There's not many towns beginning with A, and the next will be C's and then D's. It's just going through like that.
I'm in St Albans, so I'm okay.
Take a while to get to Zimbabwe.
Well, let's leave it there because we've already covered paedophilia. Let's keep like Holocaust denial and stuff till later in the show. Thank you everybody else as well for the wonderful comments are coming through. Lovely, healthy lot as ever, and a huge thank you to Liam Green Jacket, Jay Saunders, JC Scapades. We've also got Christy all the way over in Melbourne in Australia. She's back, as well as Basil Botherer, Dom DM, and also Phyllis. Don't forget, it's not too late to donate. You can go to paypal.me/freefest online, and there you can give a donation. We recommend price of a pint, and down here in London, that's about 25 quid. So please do be generous. It's this show, despite what it looks like, there's a huge team working behind the scenes. Some people would say that's fat shaming, but let's move on. Go on, lads.
I just said not one team of one, but he's doing a very good job.
Yeah,
brilliant job.
Hey!
Today, the show today feels like you know when you're at school and the teacher's left the classroom, it's got that kind of fizzy vibe to it. I really love it. So let's make it even worse. It's time to welcome our first guest. You might have seen him on the Scott Squad on BBC Radio Scotland. You might have seen him at numerous comedy clubs up and down the country. His name is Stuart McPherson. He's a brilliant stand-up comedian. Let's have a quick look at him in action.
We do like to drink, up to a point. I don't know if you know this, right? There's a law in Scotland. I had to explain this to my girlfriend when she moved, and some of you might not even know it's a thing, right? But in Scotland, you can't buy alcohol in a shop after 10. Right? That is the rumour. People going, what the fuck, mate? Sorry if I've ruined your night out. Don't make the rules, but I'll try to tell her. And quite rightly, you've gone quiet. You've got follow-up questions like she has. You've always got follow-up questions. You need to explain this to an English person. It's a fucking nightmare. Like, first time I was going out with her, we couldn't buy cans because it was after 10. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't know. That's the law. She's like, yeah, but why? I don't know. I didn't make it, but that's the law. She's like, yeah, but why? I'm like, do you want me to say it? Do you want me? Because we can't be trusted. It's a point of national shame, but you've made me say it, and I hope you're happy. Just means everyone in Scotland's got to do this ridiculous song and dance. We'll pretend we've got bed at 10 with the Horlicks. Really, you just buy booze in advance, like a sort of off-peak train ticket. Everyone's just buying booze all the time, constantly stocking up. You're holding the head at the drop of a hat if we wanted to. Just constantly stocking up. You go out for a pint of milk at noon, and you're like, well, I may as well get 12 cans in the off chance. In case it gets to 9:59, I forget which fucking country I live in again.
Hey, it is a joy to have on this show the marvellous one, not only Stuart McPherson.
Hey Vlad, how you doing?
Hey, Stuart, how you doing, man? Oh, goodness me, you've got much longer hair than you did in that clip.
This is all I've done in the last 15 months.
Is that, just to ask, that show was at Monkey Barrel, was that the one we did together last January that was actually... Because I think that was my last club gig in Scotland. I did Monkey Barrel in January last year before I went to Australia. And then they put it out online as an online show. And I remember you were on the same gig.
Yeah, I think the clip is older than that, but I do remember that now you're saying it. And yeah, my last gig was at Monkey Barrel as well on like the 15th of March or something. And it was that weird point where everyone's sort of making jokes about the coronavirus, but we don't know what to say and everything. And now everyone's fucking sick of it, you know?
Exactly. And Monkey Barrel, they actually opened last weekend.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you were on. I've not seen the lineup.
I wasn't. I'm hoping to get up and see it soon. 28 people they can get in that room.
Yeah, I'm doing it next week.
Are you? Right.
Yeah. Have you done any gigs?
I've done gigs down south.
Right.
But not anything in Scotland because we're not, well, apart from last weekend. And I think Monkey Barrel is the only gig running in Scotland at the moment.
I know. It's crazy to be back. How are you finding it? Do you remember all your old gigs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting through it. I'm doing this every week, and that kind of keeps me busy. And, you know, I tell you what it's like. It's weird. A year and a bit ago, when it all started, one, we thought this will be over in 12 weeks. And two, we thought, shit, how we will be so bored, and then you just kind of get used to it, don't you? And yeah. I've done a couple of online gigs where I've had to travel to do them. I went to do Susie McCabe's Comedy Cellar. I don't know if you've done that, which is an amazing gig because they've got a green screen they build around the stage, and you can see a Zoom audience, but they're kind of on three sides, and so it's like doing a proper live gig.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but it was after the gig, I thought, oh, fuck, I've got to drive all the way home.
Yeah, why the fuck did we used to do that?
It's the fact you've kind of lost that journey time, which is quite good. I actually don't mind. It's quite nice just being at home rather than going up to Aberdeen.
I was going to ask if you're at home now. You look like you're in some kind of black box theatre.
I am in some black box theatre with some red lights. I've made the concession to making this look a bit like showbiz. Unlike my two co-hosts, you know.
Well, one of them's got a lot of DVDs, so you can't say that.
Yeah. So, yeah, you were just chatting briefly before the show, and you were saying you've got a holiday planned.
Big holiday, yeah. Trying to get beach body ready for a weekend in Dundee.
Yeah, fucking hell, man.
Not a traditional location pre-COVID, but, you know.
Certainly not, but this is what we're reduced to now, isn't it?
I know.
I had a day out in Kirkcaldy, which is probably probably 6 hours longer than you really need.
Yeah, I went to school in Kirkcaldy. An afternoon is plenty.
Yeah. This was morning. It was not. Fucking hell. Yeah, have you done? I mean, I know you were in Scott Squad, and have you been doing filming on that over the last year or so?
Yeah, well, I was lucky that we were doing it like the week before lockdown, so that was kind of lucky for me timing wise. And then we did one where I was doing it sort of remotely from my old flat, and then we were just filming last week actually, me and Amy together, so that was quite fun. I don't know, it's not been announced yet or anything, but we're doing like a wee one-off special. So, and I've been writing on it and stuff and working as a script editor, so that's been really handy.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, for viewers who are watching this show who aren't from Scotland, Scott Squad is basically based on the Scottish police, and there's all kinds of random characters. A lot of the cast are stand-up comics, and basically, I've done a couple of episodes. We don't get a script, do we? We just kind of improvise around a basic plan.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Now that I'm a script editor on it, I'm a lot more keen to say that there is a script to make it look like I'm doing something. But it's basically there's ideas, there's like there's premises for sketches and a sort of brief framework. But it's an improvisational show. You get to sort of do it in your own language and improvise.
No, that's why. Yeah, I love doing it. That's what I find so liberating about it. Was it didn't matter. They just let you go with it, don't they? And,
yeah, it's really fun. Because I'm not a proper actor. You get spoiled by not having to learn any lines or anything.
Yeah, I was playing this character that was a kind of rampant, extremist Scottish nationalist.
In real life or on the show?
In both.
Yeah.
And I had to go on this rant, and this was like, when was it? It must have been the summer of 2017 we were filming it. And I went on this massive rant about Theresa May and then they took me to one side and said, look, can we retake that? Can you not mention Theresa May? I said, well, is this some kind of censorship thing? Can you just not mention Theresa May? Because this won't go out until January, and we're not sure who'll be Prime Minister.
You got to be careful with those things. She was on a sugar peg, man.
Yeah, she was. She was in a sugar peg at the time. So you're you and Amy, who we're going to be talking to later. You are both in the business. You both together. You're both in Glasgow now. Because you're not originally Glaswegian, are you?
No, I'm from Fife, near Kirkcaldy.
Cool. No, because I'm from Glasgow and I moved away.
Yeah.
I moved to Edinburgh, but that was for personal reasons. No, I love Glasgow. I love the fact that every time I go back, which is actually pretty frequently, it's got a new catchphrase.
Always plastered on the side of buildings and everything about how great Glaswegians think Glasgow is.
Yeah. People make Glasgow. Is it still people make Glasgow?
People make Glasgow worse a lot of the time, I would argue.
Yeah. Trouble is, those people are Glaswegians.
No, it is a great place. I like living here. It's fun.
Yeah, because it is one of these places that you get kind of stereotyped, isn't it? Because it's bits of it are pretty poncy, aren't they?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Where do you think I live? I'm not in the hard part, am I?
Right.
There's a lot of lattes kicking around these days.
And apparently there's going to be a vegan orange march this year. But yeah, so what are your plans? Man, you're doing a podcast, aren't you, at the moment? Do
a podcast with Steve, yeah. We're the only two white guys with a podcast in the world. Pretty well. Got that niche. Me and Steve Buchanan, who you know, great stand-up. Yeah, we've been doing one just to entertain ourselves as we're sort of pals, and we used to write together, but we never got to see each other during lockdown. So that's been fun, where we sort of try and guess the plots of films we've not seen, because we're both pretty dumb and we've not seen many of the classic films everyone else has seen. So we try and guess what the films are, and then we watch them and see how wrong we were. So it's been fun.
Right. So hence the name. What's the script?
What's the script? Yeah. Which is like a Scottish phrase. You'd say like, "What's the script for the Lad Chat show tonight?" But we didn't realise people don't say that apart from in Scotland. So it doesn't really work.
And it's become painfully obvious in the last 25 minutes. This show has no script. But I'm guessing you're not planning on doing an Edinburgh Fringe show, or are you?
I've got no plans, but it kind of hinges on if there's something going, like maybe there's been whispers of maybe like a wee work in progress double-hander or something like that. But I've certainly not been writing a Fringe show.
You see, I have written a Fringe show, which is on in Brighton at the end of June. Yeah, and
go to that. You're very good, Vlad.
I'm hoping I can bring that. But that's the thing. I've got a show ready, and potentially know where to put it on. Yeah,
it could be a case of Vlad's outlived the Fringe.
Yeah.
You saw that coming.
I outlived it.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
I'm hoping I might get a spot at Venue 23.
Oh, yeah.
Which is my local bus stop. And Venue 23, Venue 23, because that's the 23 bus stops. If nothing else, we had, I don't know if you ever worked with Ivor Dembina. We had him on here last week, and he's been doing stand-up comedy on the streets in London.
Really?
Yeah.
What was he saying about that? How's that been?
I don't think he makes any money out of it, but it's just, it's like all of us have been doing over the last 15 months. It's something to do.
It's something to do, innit? You got to fill the days.
Yeah.
I don't fancy that myself. I've not got the stones for that, I don't think. I struggle in a comedy club, to be honest.
I know. Well, I quite like the bravery of it. It's the fact that, it all goes fucking pear-shaped in a comedy club. People can get thrown out.
Yeah.
There's somebody there to do it. On the street, if it goes tits up, you can't get thrown out of the street, really, can you?
No. You just got to, have a quiet word with yourself. He must look like some kind of like preacher or something, mustn't he?
He's actually got an A-board, and he takes it to the South Bank in London, and it says 3 jokes for £1. And people give him a quid, and he tells them 3 jokes.
Fair enough. It's very entrepreneurial. That's like someone would get sacked for that early doors on The Apprentice.
Yeah. Exactly. £1.
£1, yeah. In London, that's nothing.
You have a value in yourself.
You got to look at the margin there.
Exactly. And also, it depends on cash, which I don't know about you, but who the fuck?
You got to get one of the chip and pin.
Yeah.
You got one of them for the Fringe? For the bucket?
I got one for the Fringe 2 years ago.
Yeah. Got to stay with the times.
Yeah, totally. But actually, I was out for a drink last Saturday. It's a revelation. Which proved to be the most unsuccessful night drinking I've ever had, in that we never got a drink.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I arranged to go out for a pint with Keir McAllister, good mate of both of ours, and we, like a pair of fucking idiots, didn't book anywhere. And we're getting somewhere, and we went out. Went out in the centre of Edinburgh on the sunniest afternoon of the year, evening of the year, on a Saturday evening, beautiful spring sunshine. The first week, pubs were open indoors, and we thought we could get a drink without booking.
Couple of fannies,
walked around the city centre for an hour and a half, took in quite a lot of Leith Walk, Broughton Street, and Newtown.
Nice to you here to have a walk, though.
I know, she was the hope. I've never been refused entry to so many pubs when I've been sober.
It's a nightmare. I was worried about that for tomorrow, actually. We might be going on holiday and they might all be booked. And then what we're going to do, just sit in the Airbnb.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm sure you're all right. You're Dundee, man.
Dundee.
Yeah, you got the DNA.
Be all right. Yeah, we'll get culture instead.
Yeah. We eventually got to one pub that would have let us in. But the trouble was they had a big sign of the window saying cash only. Eh? Fucking kind of business model is that during a pandemic?
Yeah, that's the opposite of what it should be. Isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't have cash. So we went to the off license and got pissed in my garden. There you go. That's my weekend.
You should have started there in the first place.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so you've got the podcast, What's the Script, coming up. Can we find out any more about you elsewhere, about gigs you've got coming up or anything? You go on your website or your Twitter and all that stuff?
Yeah, my website's stuartmcpherson.co.uk. You can find my gigs there. It won't take you long to read.
No.
They're all next week. I don't know what's going on. And I don't remember any of my jokes. And that's my Twitter. It's all good.
It's okay, Stuart. Someone in the room will remember them and shout them out.
I could do your act. If all else fails,
I know you're probably good. Yeah. First 5 minutes was all about my haircut. So.
Well, I can sort of do something these days. Spray it.
Cool. Listen, mate, it's been a joy having you. Stick around because we are going to have you and Amy back on screen together.
Yeah, we'll do. What about you talk to you, Vlad?
We'll be together as a couple by the end of the show.
Yeah.
Been a joy, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
There we go, McPherson. What a guy. And while we are talking about donations, don't forget it's not too late to donate. You can see there along the bottom, paypal.me/freefestonline. Jay, how much would you say this show is worth in terms of a donation? Good stuff.
It's taken him quite a while. I would say, if I'm thinking of donating, donate roughly what you would pay to come and see my Brighton Fringe show on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of June. And that is £5 if you're not working. There we go. I get another plug for that. And if you think it's worth donating the same amount is to see that show, that's roughly the.
Go and see that show. 60 Seconds to Save the World, 26th, 27th, 28th of June.
Roughly, that'll do. 25th, 26th, and fuck, I can't remember. It's the end of June.
No one knows. There's some dates. Go to brightonfringefest.co.uk, as you can see along the bottom of your screen, to find out all the different shows there. But Vlad's is an absolute must-see. And while we are talking about must-sees, we are really chuffed to have a returning guest on this show. Yes, she is the winner of the Best Newcomer of the Scottish Comedy Awards 2019. Very pleased to have her back on the show. Her name is Amy Matthews. Let's have a quick jog of the memory and a look at her in action.
With that fantastic technical display from our producer there, the millions that we spend in high definition sound booth and everything like that, we've got some technical difficulties. I'm so sorry about Dave Elliott. He asked me a question about how much to donate. My internet cut out. I think I've got the same internet provider as Dave Chawner. But anyway, besides all that, it's an absolute pleasure to bring on this lady. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Give it up for the one and only Amy Matthews.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. I'm very well, Amy. See, look, we can do sound. We can do sound.
I do have a voice. I really do. I wasn't just confidently gesticulating and not saying anything. You'll just have to imagine how funny I was. Boy, was
I think that could be a new thing in comedy, mime comedy. We just look like we're just talking, and then people look like they're laughing.
Yeah, 19-year-olds from Surrey have spent a lot of money learning how to do that at the Fringe. So that's your jam.
Oh, bless you. No. You're in Glasgow with Stuart. Lovely hair, I have to say, with Stuart. Lovely hair. Well, lovely hair. There you go.
It's better than mine at the moment.
It's a lot better than mine. Look at this. This has gone way past the comb over. This is like just covered a little bits on the side. But how is Glasgow? I've been to Glasgow before, and the first time I went to Glasgow, I didn't like the city. I didn't like it. The second time I went to Glasgow, I loved it. And it's one of these things. I think it depends which part of Glasgow you're in. What do you think of Glasgow?
I had the same. So my first impression of Glasgow, I had moved there. Well, no, I'd come to Scotland, and I had to get a megabus from Buchanan Street in Glasgow at midnight, which granted is not going to be at its finest. And it was genuinely just me and a man who looked like Fagin from Oliver. And he ate a family box of Maltesers in front of me whilst maintaining eye contact, realized they were all gone, and then punched a wall. That was honestly, hand on heart, my first impression ever of Glasgow. And I was like, okay, it's got a vibe. And now they're my neighbours. No, it's really, really great. I love it through here now, actually, genuinely. It's just been trying to convince me. My sort of spiritual home is Edinburgh. And Stuart's been trying to convince me for a long time that Glasgow's better, because his pitch is that there's more going on. I found out what that meant when I moved here, because within a week of being here, a flatmate's bike was stolen, and I kid you not, a friend's neighbour was murdered. So
wow.
Yeah, it's the kind of high octane distractions you want in the most anxious year of your life.
The beautiful thing about that is you actually thought like the bike being stolen is a bit more important. It's a bit more.
Of course.
How shook is this neighbour?
But yeah, no, genuinely, it's really, really great. It's come a long way since Fagin. So
sure. No, absolutely. Now you haven't been doing comedy. I guess I don't want to sound patronising at all. You've only been doing comedy for a short while, right? Is that a few years?
Long, yeah, a couple of years. Well, last year is like a non-starter, isn't it? Because I think I had my 3 years in comedy in October. Yeah, 3 years in comedy in October.
So when was your last live gig, and when is your next live gig?
Wow, my last live gig was on Friday. I had the first one back. I know, it was really well. I'd done live streams, so that bit of mute footage that we all enjoyed, that was from something I did. I think it was around Christmas time, maybe just after, at the Stand, and they do it's a really nice like live streamed gig, but without an audience. And then I did Monkey Barrel on Friday, and there were 28 lovely people in, and they did a 7 p.m. show and a 9 p.m. show. I couldn't believe it. On the 9 p.m. show, a stag do of 10 guys came in, and I just thought, how dare you do that? The first one back. But genuinely, it was really, really nice. It was really good fun, and there was a real sense of everyone just being excited to be back. I think everyone was like, the audiences were, just being really up for it, really, really kind and generous, and it was lovely. And there was a real sense of the fact that they knew that we'd all be kind of finding our feet again. And it's weird how quickly you like, there's muscle memory in what you do. It just kind of happens, and it was really, really good fun. Yeah, it was lovely.
I'm looking forward to my first gig back is tomorrow. Tomorrow is my first gig back. I popped my little comedy cherry for it. Yes. No, I'm nervous. I'm actually very nervous. I'm actually almost sitting there thinking it's like my first ever gig again. I can imagine what it's like. I've been doing this for like 25 years, and I've said this many times before, but I miss stand-up. I've fallen in love with stand-up again. I think one of the things is previous to the pandemic, I think I took this for granted. You knock out your 20, 30 minutes, you've got it, it works, and it's like gig after gig after gig. And I've done the road, and I've got so used to it, and I've had every Gibster's pasty and every service station from here to John O'Groats. I've done it. And when this last year and a half, when it literally just got taken away from you. Zoom gigs, look, I know we have no other choice, but it is not the same as live gigs.
Everyone had that moment, didn't they? And sort of, well, this time last year, where they were like, "Oh God, am I gonna have to be a TikTok comedian? Like, I really, really don't want to do this. But if this is the time, I'm gonna have to." But no, I think there's sort of hope on the horizon, isn't there? I think it is slowly coming back. It will be less, there'll be fewer gigs for a while, but it'll happen. And it's kind of like a nice reset button. I feel like it's going to rejuvenate a lot of people and their material and what they want to talk about and the approach that it's been a sort of, it's been a very different year for lots of different people. So I'm always reluctant to make generalizations, but it has been a chance for lots of people I know just to sort of take stock and be creative in some way. And it rejigs that, that bit in you that's like, well, that's why I got into it in the first place.
Well, I know for about the first sort of few months, I was like grief stricken. And then sort of suddenly it's like, A, yes, your living's taken away, but B, the very essence of me was taken away. Stand-up is what I do. I love this job. And now when things are now opening back up again, not only because of doing this show and other little Zoom gigs and here, there, and everywhere, I've written a whole load of new stuff, and I'm itching to go. And one of the big things for me was going up to Edinburgh. Now, what is Edinburgh going to be like this year? It's going to be. It's not going to be like it normally is.
Well, it's not going to be the festival, is it? I mean, I think there will, by the sounds of it, there will be some pop-up tents, perhaps. There'll be a few bits and bobs that are not there usually, but I think maybe there'll be slightly more gigs than we have been used to. But it is not going to be recognizable as the Fringe, and it will be. I know that they did that press release that was like, we're open for business, and I think in real terms they said, if you want to do an online show, we are open. And so that's happening, but it's just going to look very different, and I think everyone knows that, audiences, artists, and venues and stuff. So
2022 is when hopefully, if there isn't no COVID-21 or 20 or whatever it is by this point. Now, like we've talked about the Edinburgh Fringe, you've done like as we talked with Stuart, you've done little bit parts in various little Scottish TV shows and stuff. So you've done little bits of acting and so on. Now, acting for me, I'm a bit of a purist in terms of stand-up. I've done loads of auditions. I've been loads of castings for adverts and sitcoms and films and all this kind of stuff. And for me, I think it was on my second ever casting. My first one was like, "Oh, this is a bit new, isn't it?" For casting. My second one, I think I got absolutely sick of it because I sort of went there and sat there with 30 other people who looked like this. And I was chatting to this one guy who's been training as an actor for years and so on and so forth. And he's popped off on his lunch break because he's a waiter in an Indian restaurant to come in, do this audition, and then go back to work again. And I was sat there and I was like, well, with stand-up, I'm on stage tonight. I can talk about whatever I want to. So the appeal of acting for me didn't really crystallize until I did a film. I did this Bollywood film, and I sat there, and I have total respect for actors because it is a very different skill set to what we do as comedians. And what we do as comedians does prepare you quite a bit for acting, but you have some brilliant actors there. What got you into acting?
Well, I've already done very, very, bits and bobs, and obviously with Stuart as well, we did Scott Squad together. So that is improv. So there is the freedom there to where it almost doesn't, you are acting, but you're acting on your terms, which is very rare. It's a very unusual thing. But also, I mean, the only bits I've done commercial bits and bobs, and that is it is strange because it is as you said, a completely different thing to stand up. And you sort of have to, there's something that feels quite unnatural, because so much of stand-up is about trying to, even if it's a persona, which, you know, even if you're yourself on stage, it's still a persona. So much of stand-up is about trying to convey and communicate authenticity, and then in, you know, like yourself, and then when you try and do something, whether that's in a commercial realm or otherwise, it feels so much more artificial. You know, it's like a really strange phenomenon. We just got a question there as well that
let me just quickly bring it up. This is from Jay Saunders. He's a very good friend of mine. He's asking a question. When do you think open mic gigs might open again? Oh, there you go. There you go.
So it's tricky because, so I've worked in a comedy club as well, so I know both sides of the industry, if you want to call it that. And the difficult thing that they're going to have is economically trying to open at the moment. It's hard enough to be viable because they've gone from 7-day weeks to 2-day weeks, because it's not viable to open every night in the same way as they would usually. So they're doing Friday and Saturday gigs for pro comics who haven't worked for, you know, so those are the priorities at the moment, and it's the only way they can sort of viably do it. In time, they will obviously open up for weekday stuff, and that will include open mics, and that will include that. But it's the same as everyone. Is everyone sort of is yearning for like a concrete answer on stuff, and no one can provide it because it's really difficult to do that. So there's no kind of they haven't like done away with the idea. It will come back. There's just literally no way of knowing when. And, you know, the thing is, everyone, the clubs and the comics and everyone is incentivized to get that going again, you know, and it's not like, even though it's not a priority at the moment, there will come a time where it is. It's just a little bit further down the line, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think when I kind of know many. I did all of my open mics in London, and we had like 150 gigs a week. You could do 3 gigs a night, 7 nights of the week, and you could do that for 4 weeks. You never play the same club twice. And I think I just took that for granted. I just took that for granted. And what happened was I teach comedy, and a lot of the students who sort of like come through it, I'm like. You don't have the same privilege now, just for temporarity's sake. There'll be more gigs opening up, certainly. But you've got this Zoom thing going on, which, you know, are the same thing, I guess. Sorry, my internet does play up a little bit, but they're not the same thing, Zoom gigs as compared to live.
Definitely not. But, you know, I mean, it is coming, and I can understand that anxiety, particularly. I know so many people. I ran a monthly open mic night at Monkey Barrel, and it was so nice because there were so many people that were coming back who were just starting, and I was like, I can't wait to see where you, like, you know, when you spot someone and you're like, oh, you've really got something, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. And it was really in their infancy, and then this happens. I can't imagine how soul destroying that is when you just start to feel like you're getting into the swing of things. You know, it's hard enough for people that have been doing it years, let alone for people who like just started to like slide back into it. But
the one thing I would say is a lot of the students, the thing that really pulls me out of any kind of depression about stand-up is watching people just get on with it and just start gigging online. It's like, okay, whenever gigs open up live, I will just crack on with that. But at the moment, I've got this advantage of sitting at home and never having to leave my house and trekking halfway across London. But yes. It's fascinating chatting to comedians. I love chatting to comedians. Hopefully we can do this one day in a green room like we used to do properly. But stick around, Amy. We've got some fun and games and stuff. Let's bring the others back on. Let's see how they're all doing. Oh, there you go. Lovely.
Look at this. What a great little interview. Thank you so much. We're going to welcome Stuart back in because it is now time to do our Mr. and Mrs. segment.
I'm worried about that.
Wow, the production on that, Alex. Jeez.
I know, no expense spent. So we are now going to ask you a series of 3 questions. I'm going to go. Who do I go first? I would say ladies first, but then it's 2021. So you know what I
happy with
mean.
that. Go for
I'll
it.
say it.
Just to interject. The last time an Asian
Brilliant.
He's being
person
sensitive.
allowed to
I have to say, Dave, the clock on my laptop says it's 2049.
Very good.
No.
It took me a while. That's very good. That goes in the set, lads. That's
I've
what
got
we
a catalogue
agreed.
of bad jokes behind me.
That's not a don't you dare put that down. Which is what the actress said to the bishop. So right, we're gonna move on to Mr. and Mrs. First question. This goes to Amy. Amy, what is Stuart's character's name in Scott Squad?
Archie Pepper.
That's correct.
Well done. Stuart, what is Amy's character's name in Scott Squad?
Annie McInnes.
Well done. It's 1 for 1. So the question is going to start to get a little bit harder. Obviously, you're both in comedy. So we both know that you like to have a good time and have a laugh. But Amy, what makes Stuart saddest? Look at the fear on both
Favorite
their
food
faces.
isn't on offer.
But brilliant.
Genuinely.
What an answer.
If his favorite food isn't on offer, I'll know about it.
Wow.
I will know about it. That will be a conversation we have. I'll have to talk him down from that.
I mean,
I'm
I
addicted
felt
to the
sexist
question.
earlier. Yeah, I felt
Well, I was just
sexist earlier on by going
thinking
ladies first, but Stuart's got to come in and gone, get my dinner ready. Sorry, Stuart, what were you saying?
No, that's
honestly.
a fair answer. I wasn't sure if you had an answer, like I've said that somewhere and you had it.
So let's switch that question around. Stuart, what is Amy's? What makes Amy so sad?
The look. The look.
I'm quite chipper.
Usually.
It's the correct answer.
Amy said no, so I'm going to take that as a wrong answer. So it's 2 to Amy, 1 to Stuart. The final question. I'm really enjoying this. If Amy, if Stuart wasn't a comic, what would he be doing?
Not much.
Oh God. Golfing. Full time.
I didn't even know that was a thing. But Stuart, would you say you'd be a golfer full time?
Well, if I had more time, I would like to play golf. I don't play any golf right now, but I did play when I was younger.
Semi-pro.
Not really.
Seriously?
I would have liked to have been a golfer at one point. It was sort of like I'd like to be Spider-Man and then a footballer, and then I was too shit at football, and then golf, then I was too shit at golf, and then stand-up. And it's kind of just about working out now.
The weird thing is, when you wanted to be Spider-Man, you were 21. So that's odd.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
Quite right.
good answer from Amy. So that kind of seems right. So 3-1. Stuart, I mean, this is just to save face. What do you think that Amy would be doing if she wasn't doing comedy?
Well, along similar lines, actually, Amy, when around the same age, I'd have been trying to be a pro golfer. Amy was, let me get this right, you were something like, she was like the second best break dancer in Britain or something. So I'm going to say dancer.
Street.
Break dancing. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then your team was like the best in Europe or something.
6th in Europe.
She'd have been a dancer. Yeah, the thing that I love about that is before the show, we asked Stuart and Amy to have a fight, and looking at Amy's reaction when Stuart divulged that information.
Is that embarrassing?
That's amazing.
It's just...
I'd be very proud of that.
Oh, that's nice.
I would.
Yeah, I mean, neither of us were doomed to do anything sensible, it looks like.
Well, you know what? It's a real coincidence, but actually, Vlad does street dancing as well, and he's actually going to finish the show by doing some popping and grinding.
Well,
The
yeah, I was the third best roller skater in Europe.
I trust that. I trust that. I do.
I had a catalogue of accidents to. Have I mentioned I'm going to see the Brighton Fringe?
Big
The other thing is, I am the.
Apart from this, it's the only thing happening in my life.
I was the 5th best stand-up comic in my family. And there's only 4 of us, so you do the math. Right, we are going on now to my favourite round of them all. It is Desert Island Dicks. Yes, like most of our ideas, this is absolutely not a rip-off of a very popular TV, radio, or sitcom trope. Absolutely not, and that's what the lawyers are sticking to. The idea behind this is if you could maroon someone from society for the betterment of humanity, who would you stick on the desert island that would be your dick? So, gonna go swap it round. Stuart, who would you isolate from society, get rid of?
Greg Wallace.
Why?
He's a twat. Also, I've been watching him. I follow him. Well, he's annoying anyway. I don't like him anyway. And then I don't know why, some kind of masochistic streak at me. I follow him on Instagram, and he's always posting pictures of himself with his top off. He's like 50 odds and he's got a 6-pack. It looks fucking weird. And all through lockdown, he keeps posting videos of himself. He lives in like this mansion in the countryside, like a king. He's got like acres of land and orchards and shit. And he's going about, oh, we're all in the same boat, you know, it's hard, isn't it? And you're like, no, it's not fucking hard. You've made millions of pounds shouting at lasagnas, you fucking wank.
Oh, shouting at lasagnas. That's the name of my debut album. You also know why he's so rich as well, because I reckon he's probably somewhere related to William Wallace, your national hero. That's probably why he's got
William Wallace was hung, drawn, and quartered.
There's an idea. Yeah.
Yes.
That's an episode of MasterChef we should get behind.
You've got me up the wrong way.
That's what would happen if Heston Blumenthal had any production value in that at all. It would just be done with dry ice and bits of silly string. So, Amy, on to you. Who would you maroon on a desert island?
So we're going along a similar theme because it turns out all me and Stuart do is watch cooking programs.
There we go.
And we've been watching Great British Menu, and one of the food critics on that, well, all of them suck actually, but one of them, his name's Oliver Payton, and he is, I don't know where to begin. He just hates everything. Like, don't be a food critic if you hate food. So he sits there every single week, and they have to like respond to a brief. And like one guy will come out, and he'll have made a dessert that looks like an asteroid, and he'll like mark it down because he's like, oh, I'm afraid like I don't really feel like I'm on a comet. And it's like, well, of course you don't. You're in the recording studio in Greenwich. Get a life. Like it's so embarrassing. If his standards are that high, like he must be such a miserable man. Like, how do you go about your life? God forbid he ever tries like a meal deal; it would end him.
Well, eerily that you say that to our lovely regular viewers. Join us next week when Oliver Patton and Greg Wallace are our 2 guests. It's going to be a great show. Well, unfortunately,
on the show, can't cook, won't cook.
What has Vlad been on this week? Top show from Vlad. I'm giving Vlad a 9.5 out of 10. I'm gonna give. I'd say Amy is like high 8s, as is Stuart, and I'd say Jay is probably 2 out of 10. But I'd say a good 5 of that is your Wi-Fi. That's, you know what I mean? Bit rich coming from the man that's dialing in from dial-up. But unfortunately, the time is against us, my friends. It is 8:58. Thank you so much for being on the show. Let's pass over quickly to you. Anything that you would like to plug? Where can people find you if they'd like to find out more information about you?
on Amy F. Matthews on all socials. There we go. And yeah, www.amymatthewscomedy.com for sporadic gigs coming up here and there. Yeah, that's me. And Stuart.
At Stuart McP on Twitter. And yeah, my podcast is called What's the Script? You can search that on, wherever you get them. That'd be great. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Please set up another podcast called Shouting at Lasagnas. I honestly, I would love that. And I have absolutely loved this show. Thank you so much yet again to everyone that has been watching. JC Segvades, Basil Borra. Thank you to Richard Wright, Jay Saunders, Julie Jones. I could go on. Thank you so much to everyone that has been donating as well. Don't forget, it's not too late to donate. And also, you can go to the brightonfringefest.co.uk to find out all of our different shows. While you are there, go and check out Vlad's show. Vlad, when is your show?
It is on Friday the 25th, Saturday the 26th, and Sunday the 27th of June at the Caroline of Brunswick. 60 last minutes to save the world.
Wonderful stuff. And that is the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Amy Matthews, Stuart McPherson, Vladimir McTavish, Jay Sodagar. I've been Dave Chawner. We'll see you next week with Greg Wallace. Goodbye.